guys ready to see Kerr Smith? Yeah. And there he is. Come on out. They talk about a horror movie everyone's really curious about. Dawsons Creek.
I like Dawsons Creek. Yes.
Don't we all?
Sweet. Good horror flick.
Okay, so I'm actually going to start with, I was talking to Kerr, I believe, on Thursday, because I was going over my notes, trying to be prepared, as I am, and as I was getting on a plane to get from one place to another, just before we got dropped off at the airport, John Denver starts playing my Uber's driver card. So I'm like, great, I'm going to die in this plane. Now on the way here, we were following behind a log truck, which would be Final Destination 2, and we are next to a theme park which has roller coasters. So I'm pretty sure that before the end of this weekend, I'm going to die a grisly death. All right. So, does anybody have any questions just right off the top of the bat? All right.
Seriously?
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, ask a question. What we got? What we got?
And of course, it's Dawsons Creek. But how soon were you brought into knowing about Jack being gay? Like, was that early on, or?
I think it was about 3 months in. Yeah, you're right. I was originally hired. Jack was a straight character. I was hired to create basically a love triangle between Joey and Dawson and Jack. The story goes, I could feel it coming, and Kevin Williamson. There's a little bit of each character, and that is Kevin Williamson. And obviously, he was in the closet at the time, but he wanted to, I guess, show to the world his sexuality, and he wanted to do it through Jack McPhee. And he had a real struggle with Sony and Warner Brothers, to do that on screen because it had never been done before. But he obviously pulled it off. And he comes down to Wilmington. He's like, "Kurt, you want to go grab some coffee?" And I go, "Okay, yeah, sure, why not?" And he's like, "Listen, we want to go down a different avenue with Jack." And I was like, "Okay, this is great." I just landed, probably, in my opinion, I had just gotten to LA, and it was either that or Party of Five that I wanted to do, Dawson's Creek or Party of Five. Like I had a choice, but it somehow manifested it. And so I had a big decision, just landed this great job, and now all of a sudden it's a very difficult and scary job to play. But I made the right choice, because I think today, you look at every television show, movie today, it's like they have a slew of all different, sexual preferences and genders and all that. And that was the whole point back then, was to just make it acceptable worldwide. Pretty proud of that. It's a long-winded answer.
That's cool. We like a long-winded. Now, I believe actually you are credited with the first on-screen gay kiss.
Yes, I am.
In the Guinness Book, or world record, or whatever you need to. It's very cool. Okay, we got a question over here.
I remembered my question from yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Were you Team Pacey or Team Dawson?
I was Team Jack. Are you kidding me? It's funny, every show I'm on, there's always like a team between the two characters. I don't know, I probably split that one down the middle, because that's actually who I was on set. I was kind of the middleman down there in Wilmington.
Question over here? No? All right, so, oh, no?
I know you do.
Yes, you do. Come on.
Come on. You've been hovering around my table all day. You have questions.
I don't have a question.
I think you just want to smell your hair.
I don't have a question.
You gotta come up with something. Mom, you got anything?
So, if they don't have it, I'm going to ask, how close of you guys were as a cast on Dawson's Creek?
Pretty tight. It was interesting. We called it Camp Dawson's Creek because it was in Wilmington, North Carolina. It was very much not Hollywood. So it felt like a camp across the country. Everything was written in Los Angeles, produced in Los Angeles, and then they sent everything out to us. And this is before social media and all that kind of thing. So we were very much on our own. So it was a really, unique feeling.
Do you have a question yet?
Here we go.
What was your favorite scene that you did? Like, what was your favorite scene that you did?
In what, any show?
Dawson's Creek.
In Dawson's. Favorite. I don't know if it was my favorite, but it was probably the most intense on that show was when Jack came out. It was episode, I think it was 207, but I could be wrong. To Jack's dad. Yeah. But there were a lot of good memories on that show, so there's a lot of great scenes that were a lot of fun to do.
Good question. You had a question? No? Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was yelling at him.
Oh, geez, okay. Well, go ahead. What'd you do?
I'm always getting yelled at. I'm not sure if he's still mad or new mad. I don't know.
Okay, so, we got a question back here.
Yeah, how have you enjoyed the night karaoke sessions?
Say that again?
How have you enjoyed the night karaoke sessions?
The karaoke?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it a lot.
Are you going tonight?
I'll be getting up there tonight over my dead body.
Now, do you ever take a memento from any show or movie that you've done, like say even for Final Destination or Dawson's Creek? Is there something that you've taken home with you that's a piece of who you are that you wanted to keep?
I tried to. You can't always do that. It's not always available. But like from Dawson's, it's stupid. But I just have a coffee mug. It wasn't even a set piece. It was just it was a crew gift or something like that. Still have to that day. I still have a wine bottle. It was a gift from Kevin Williamson that I still have. Haven't opened that one. Probably put that on eBay. Maybe that's probably worth something. It's often a coffee mug, to be honest with you, because it's just easy. I do have the car from Final Destination, the Nova. I'm kidding, I don't. Remember, we destroyed that with a train.
Yeah, we've seen enough people tiptoeing around your booth, and I know, I don't know where O'Malley is right now. Got your attention? O'Malley, do you have a question?
No.
Meow.
No. Should I?
Yeah, you were talking about it the other day at dinner.
Uh-huh.
All right. Okay, so I'll move on. I'll go get her later. Now, you actually talked about how you made the choice between Party 5 and Dawson's Creek. What is your choice? How do you make the choice to pick a project that you want to get behind?
No choice. Here's the thing. This is a really great story if you're into this kind of thing, because it actually happened to me. So I'm a New York actor. I delayed moving out to Los Angeles as long as I could because I was hearing all these horror stories of the acting business, how brutal it was. And I was doing pretty well in New York, so I wanted to stay. But at some point, you gotta get out of there and go into the bigger market. So I'm driving across the country with my girlfriend at the time in a 15-foot Penske truck with all my belongings, which wasn't much. And we're having a conversation, and I'm sitting here going, okay, if I had my choice, what show would I want to be on right now? Like I have any choice at all. You know what I mean? Nobody. It's just starting out. So I was thinking, okay, Party 5 is a really big show, but it was, a couple years it was going to be over, but I was like, okay, I'd love to do Party 5. And there's this other show that just started that I watched the pilot, and this thing's going to crush it, and it was Dawson's Creek. So I'm out in LA, and my first appointment, believe it or not, was for Party 5. Now you can ask the casting director to this. In fact, I think he's been interviewed on this. I blew it. It was terrible, and he'll admit to that. So that one obviously didn't happen, but a couple weeks later, I had what's called a general meeting. It's just, hi, I'm Kerr, I'm new to town, this is who I am, blah, blah, blah. And it was with the casting director for, at the time, it was called the WB, which is now CW. And after a long conversation, she said, I don't know what show it is yet, but I want to put you on something. And I'm sitting here going, oh my God. I thought it was going to be a show called Jack and Jill. It wasn't. There was this new show called Dawson's Creek, and after a series of maybe 5 or 6 auditions, I got the role. So the point is, if you want something bad enough and you believe in it, it happens.
So, oh, you're not good.
You would be sitting there.
We didn't get it.
I got $5.
It's pretty big, isn't it? It's like 600.
The lottery?
Yeah, what is it?
1.2 billion?
4.2 billion?
1.2 billion.
Or 1.2,
That's what it
wow.
was. I think
Yeah,
somebody won it.
somebody won it.
Just one person.
I think it was
In Ohio.
Wow. Did they buy the state? They should, right?
Okay, we got a question over here?
All right, so this goes with what you just said. Is there any role that you went out for in your entire career that you almost got that you didn't, that would have like changed anything, like if you were going to be Superman or Spider-Man or something?
There was a rumor going around that I was going to be the next Spider-Man. I heard that from a fan, actually. And it never happened. I never talked to Stan Lee or anything like that, but that was the rumor that was floating around that I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, that would have been life-changing. Ironically enough, if you guys go to a lot of these kinds of conventions, you might know who Jensen is from Supernatural.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, Jensen Jared are buddies of mine. And Jensen was actually on Dawsons Creek before he did Supernatural. He was on for about a half a season. And after about 2003, there was an audition for his role in Supernatural, and I did go in on it. Obviously, he ended up getting it, but I mean, that would have been a life changer because that show went 15 years? I mean, that's crazy. Absolutely nuts. So, something like that.
Is there a dream role that you have somewhere stashed away?
You know, I've always wanted to play Monty Clift. I don't know if anybody in here, maybe some of the older folks in here know who he is. Apparently, I kind of look exactly like him. And he's just one of those guys that has never been profiled in Hollywood. He was a fantastic actor. He just brought a natural ability to the business when people were more of like a theater kind of, acting style back then. This is back in the 50s. So that is a dream role. That would be fun.
Who wants to see that? Yay!
Anybody want to write it?
I saw you raise your hands. You have questions?
No, I would watch it in Montgomery Clip.
Actually, I'm going off of certain questions here. What's the biggest risk you think you've ever taken?
I mean, we know that. Jack McPhee's the biggest risk I've ever taken, for sure.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a question over here.
A real one this time. So with being in the 90s, like it wasn't, I'm loud, I'm sorry. It wasn't like as open as it is today with your character, your sister, with the depression and everything, and then with Abby's death. And how did it feel like being part of the breakthrough of all that coming through with TV? Because it was really just you guys and Boy Meets World touching on it.
Yeah, good question. It's weird because when you're actually in there experiencing it, I made an active choice to not think about it too much because in the back of my mind, I knew there was a massive responsibility here, and a lot of people were not digging what we were doing.
No, like here it's every show now, but back
Sure.
then you did for it.
Right, but we were in Wilmington too, so there were a lot of people down there that weren't digging it. We had riots, not what we call a riot, but protests, I guess, outside the gates of Screen Gems and things like that. So that was a little scary because it was aimed at me. But in the end, you're doing something really great, and I think all of us, Meredith and what's Abby's name? I can't remember her name. Monica. I think everybody's really proud of what we did back then, for obvious reasons.
All right. We got a question over here.
I can just ask out loud too. Were you ever part of like any on-set pranks, or like what was the best prank that you saw like on a set?
Yeah, I'm kind of the king of pranks.
Oh, are you?
All right, I'll tell you this one. I'm probably gonna get in trouble for it, but I'll do it. This one involves Katie Holmes. So I'm the new guy. And do you remember the episode when I think I messed up her painting or something, or her sketch, and I offered for her to sketch me nude? So I was nude, in that thing. Oh, let me tell you, it's a pretty good time when you've got a camera 2 feet off the back of your butt. So I go to wardrobe and I go, listen, I gotta play a joke on Katie. It was more for me, just to break the ice, but I wanted to prank her. So I had wardrobe stuff a 2-foot sock, and I strapped it onto myself. And I walk on the set, I had a towel on, and director goes, all right, roll it, action, and I drop that towel and out slinks this thing onto the floor. Katie's mouth hit the floor. I mean, it was priceless reaction. I don't think we used that take. We couldn't because I think she started, laughing so hard, but it was pretty funny.
Did anybody ever prank you?
Yes, they have. I just can't think of a specific instance. It happens all the time.
I was gonna say, you remember it, just interrupt me then. Okay, that's no problem. So now, what is the weirdest fan encounter you had? Now, and it's a two-part because we're going to go general and then we're going to go tattoos because there's a common theme here. We have seen like all the kids from growing up with horror. They all have been shown people of their various tattoos that they've gotten of them in various spots on their body where children's faces should not go. So it was weird. So that's part two. But the part one is like, what is the weirdest encounter that you've had with a fan?
I've had some marriage proposals. I've had some underwear sent to me in the mail. Not clean.
I said you better not say me.
So was it both genders?
I behave.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. Those are probably the craziest things I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay, so then has anybody ever shown you a picture of a tattoo that they've gotten of you?
No, I've never seen that. I mean, I've signed some boobies before and things like that, but I've never seen any body parts with my face on it.
Okay, and then I Googled this.
What'd you say? I didn't know you signed boobs? That's funny.
It's not on the price list yet.
Yeah, it's not on the price sheet, but we can arrange something.
Who's gonna go upstairs now and get his tattoo?
Now, you're also on Charmed too, right?
Yeah, I did 10 episodes for them. I'm still regretting it because they wanted me to do a full season. At the time, I was pretty busy and I didn't want to tie myself up too much, but I did 10 episodes for them.
No, they killed you more than once, right?
Yeah, they did kill me. I mean, you can do that on that show, right?
Yeah. So, any pranking on that show?
No, not really.
Really? Was it?
There was one funny thing that happened. I mean, with those girls, I knew what I was getting into. It's, you got a show full of three stars, some things can go down. So it was interesting, but I was there for about, 3 weeks. You guys know who Julian McMahon is? He was on Charm before me. He did a show called Nip Talk. He's pretty well known. Anyway, we look exactly alike. And 3 weeks into the crew, and I just yell out to the crew, I go, guys, I've been here for 3 weeks and nobody here has told me that I look exactly like Julian. And the whole crew goes, oh my God, we didn't want to say anything. We felt like we were going to be rude. It's pretty funny though.
All right, so I'm gonna jump to Carter Horton for Final Destination. He's not exactly likable at the beginning, but he kind of does have redemption at the end. What was it like to film that scene for you? I mean, I watched it earlier today where he's arguing and he's having this combination, and he saves him from the bus, and then all this stuff happens. Was that all put together, or was it practical, or was it just cuts and individual pieces? Because it looked, it always looks very detailed. Something's happening. A piece of paper blows, something's blowing on there, someone trips and falls, and it's just this mousetrap machine that just sort of kills you.
Yeah, that movie was very, very well thought out. The guys that did it are from X-Files, and they're just really intelligent guys and good writers. And I didn't know what kind of movie it was going to be. Obviously, it was the first one, and it was called Flight 180. And I'm like, okay, this looks pretty good. I was making a very conscious choice to play a butchy kind of, asshole in this situation, because I was just, it was the hiatus after the first season playing Jack, so wanted to do something in the exact opposite spectrum. But I realized very quickly that we were making a good movie, that this could make a series franchise, in that there were really cool things that most people don't know about in that film. Like, for instance, the airport walkway. Was it called jetway? Yeah, you walk down the jetway. So I'm 6 feet tall. I walk at the beginning of the jetway. It's like, I don't know, 2 feet over my head, which is normal, right? As you walk down the jetway, the ceiling would get lower and lower and lower to the point where it was 2 inches over my head right before you get into the airplane. So it creates a visual skew, let's call it, that, you know, that affects your subliminally somehow. So they did that a lot. They did that with the tiles, how they lined up. They weren't actual right angles when Chad Dinello's character dies in the bathroom. So it was little details like that that I was like, okay, you guys are really smart in what you're doing. And then, of course, they changed the title to Final Destination from Flight 180, and I go, okay, now we got something going on, because that's the perfect name.
Yeah, so, and I noticed that they have things that are just hidden in there. 180 is in there every single time.
Yes.
There are pieces that are peppered all around that film, and I wondered, how much of it were they showing you when you were filming it, and how much of it were they hiding?
I think they probably hit a lot of it. I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm probably not even aware of. You know, I got to know one of the producers pretty well, and he was telling me some of the things that they were doing, like the jetway, so I was, you know, privy to that info. But yeah, I bet you there's a lot I don't know.
Now, did you get the whole script all at once, or was it just sides and they were just feeding you along? Because I got that sense that we weren't always sure, you know, like, you guys are great actors, I totally believe that. But to the point where I'm thinking, they don't know they're going to get killed just yet. Like,
No, we knew. It was, I read the whole script, obviously, months before. But yeah, it was quite a fun experience, and playing Carter was really cool. It's difficult to play a character that is, what I always try and do, because I play a lot of serial killers and guys that you don't like, that I had later in my career. And the key is, you've got to make the audience, to the very least, understand what it is you're going through, so that they don't have to agree with it, but they've got to feel why you're doing it, so that you don't just hate them. You know, you can hate them, but you, I guess, emotionally can feel, you know, why they're doing what they're doing. I think that's important.
well, the character has to feel righteous in what they're doing. They
Right.
don't feel, they're not wrong. They're
not.
not wrong in their own eyes.
In their own eyes, from their perspective, no, they're not wrong at all. Of course, with Carter, it's the kind of thing. Why is he a jerk? Because he's scared. I mean, that's the real reason.
So now, is there a character that you have played that is the polar opposite of who you are?
Yeah.
I mean, we could go serial killer, but I'm just saying.
So yeah, that's the easy. Mr. Honey in Riverdale, the principal. I mean, I made that guy up. I mean, I'm not anything like him.
But what pieces did you choose about that character to not like?
Mr. Honey?
Yeah.
Well, nothing. Because from my perspective, I have to love who he is. I have to understand who he is, right? To that same point that I just made. So even if he's a total jerk like Carter Orton to the kids, you know, for me, it's got to make sense. To me, you know, like if you want backstory of what I actually did, I just, you know, sometimes an actor will go back and make a story up so that the things he's doing are very, very real to him. And for me, I was the one that got picked on in high school. You know, I was that guy that I'm picking on now. You know, because he picked out various kids, in this case the stars of Riverdale, and made their lives a living hell as the best that he could. So I have to have a reason personally for doing that.
When you did As the World Turns. And
Oh my God, I never did As the World Turns. What are you talking about, David?
No?
Of course I did.
Of course you did. I got it in my notes right here.
I just don't like to admit it.
Everyone did.
All right, no, I'm coming to a bigger question here. Okay, he's done soap operas, he's done TV, he's done movies. Which would be your favorite and least favorite, and why?
It's tough. I don't have a least favorite because all three of those are very different jobs. Like for the soap opera, yes, that was my first job, but you gotta understand, you're doing 60 pages per day. Now, they're not all mine, but if your storyline's hot, you're doing 20 to 25 pages a day. Try memorizing that. And it gets worse. On As the World Turns, we would get in there, and the writing it was, changed constantly. So we'd go into something called a dry block with the director, and it'd be a room, it'd be basically a basic basketball court with a couple of chairs, and he would set it up like the set is actually, set up, and we would run the lines, and he would change things. I mean, just X out this paragraph here, change this line to this, and I would have to make those notes. And what I spent hours on last night learning, I would have to relearn in the makeup chair. Really difficult job, let me tell you. And you only get 2-3 takes. There are takes out there that I screwed up that aired because we just didn't have time. So it's I call it boot camp for actors. It's a great place to start. It's not somewhere where you want to stay, because if you're forced to make very general choices on that show, and you don't want to do that as an actor. So if you stay there for a long time, I wouldn't want to do that.
So when you go from that to TV, obviously I'm going to say, ironically, it's a slower pace, still at a ridiculous pace, but it's still
You're right.
slower. You have that chance. Is there anything that you took from your experience in the soap opera that you took into television that helped you?
I took what I learned in the soaps and the ability to memorize things very quickly so that I could get to the more important choices, like, why am I doing this, and what's this all about, what's the motivation here. But you're right, even with TV, it's a fast pace. Like on Dawsons Creek, we had a well-oiled machine with our crew, because those guys have been together for decades. So we did an episode in 7 days, 7 working days. That's fast. Like, you don't see much of that today. It's at least 8, if not more. So it's a little slower pace in terms of comparing it to soaps, but it's still a lot of work. You do probably anywhere from 4 to 9 pages a day. But it's still a lot of work. If that's all you, it's a lot. And then of course you got films, just to finish up your question, which moves it at an even slower pace. You might do a page a day with a film.
So what type of acting liberties do you get to take with film, with more time? Do you get to take a deeper approach to acting, or is it something that you feel, can you take that, like I learned it in 7 days and we're going through this whole thing, and now I have a little bit more time, but you feel that your character is where you need to be, and your director's happy with it?
It's a relative question, kind of. Like for me, if you ask somebody else, it's going to be a different answer. But for me, like with a film, I will memorize the entire script before I even step on set for the first time. Every word. But I'm also the type of actor that doesn't really know what he's going to do until we get in there and start blocking it. Because I need the movement, I need to understand the space that we're working in to be able to, figure out exactly what I want to do. Do I know emotionally what's probably going to happen? Yeah, and I'll try and make that happen. But if it doesn't, it may go a completely different direction. Point is, you can't force it. You just got to go in there and, roll with it, basically.
Anybody have any questions? Have we piqued your curiosity? All right,
Working
good.
on anything new right now?
Couple irons in the fire, but you know what? I can't say a damn word about it. I'm telling you, they make you sign so many NDAs. It's crazy. It's like, how are we supposed to promote? We can't promote anything.
Every project.
Yeah.
Complete logistics and all.
Are you in the business? You're talking.
Can't say.
Keep drinking that soda.
That's a
Someone
hobby,
else
isn't
was
it?
5 years in.
Now, can I ask you about a particular role that you wanted to play? What if you decided to take the helm of a project? Is there a project that you'd want to do? No NDAs needed. You can totally make this up. This is no wrong answer.
Yeah, there is a project actually that we pitched to, I guess I can talk about this. There's a project we did pitch to Sony, which was a spin-off of Dawsons Creek, which I think a lot of people would love to see, but they're just not biting right now. It's called Cape Side, and it centers around Jack and Dylan Neal's character. So if you remember in the finale, Jen dies, I raise her baby. Wait a minute, has everybody seen this? I don't want to screw this up for you. Okay, I'm assuming,
I'm saying, don't worry
you've
about
seen it.
spoilers. It's
Okay.
old.
So she dies.
How dare
I raise her baby, and then we leave it where I can't remember Dylan's character name.
Dougie.
Thank you. Wow. Okay, Dougie. So we raise. So the story is it's real time. So it cuts to 20 years later. he and I are married. We're still raising Jen's kid. We've got a couple of other foster kids. We're living in Cape Side. I'm the football coach, high school football coach, and he's now the sheriff because he was a cop in the show. And that's where it starts, and it's all about drama. It's a little bit like The Fosters, if you guys have seen that show. You're talking to Robert Quinn, by the way, in case you didn't know that.
Now we film that in Wilmington again?
Yeah, we probably would, yeah. I mean, we'd have to, because we need that same aesthetic.
And lots changed that, but I think you could roll with it. I think
Well, they still got the
you
trees
guys-
and the moss coming off the trees, and they still got the creek, right?
Why would you not have the creek? Just don't drink it.
Right.
We got a question over here?
What is your favorite movie genre?
Horror?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, you're killing me. I gotta go back to childhood. I might go with The Thing. I think I might. That one scared the hell out of me back then. I gotta rewatch Cujo, to be honest with you, because I think that was a good one too. But there's a lot I don't remember. Yeah. What's yours?
Nightmare Before Christmas. Kidding. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh yeah, it's a good one too.
The first Nightmare on Elm Street or the second?
The first, Johnny Depp dies.
Part three,
Blood.
of course.
Just curious, like I said, because it's got a different feel between the two, so I just want to know.
Same shirt though, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Same dirty red shirt, same floppy hat.
Can't crack more on us here.
Yeah. Let's talk about My Bloody Valentine 3D, right? First of all, was filming in 3D, was that a different experience than normal film?
Yeah, it was. It actually was the first 3D movie made with the new 3D technology. In other words, not red and blue glasses anymore. So it was really interesting. There was one, but it was animated. It was the animated Beowulf was actually the first, but the first live action was us. So it was really cool to watch the camera guys and the DP figure out how to do this, because we were just moving into. That's not true. We were in about, actually we were just moving into 4K. This was really early 4K, like 2010. Wasn't available, but you could shoot it in 4K. So what we did, this is how it worked. So normally you'd have one camera shot at the subject, and that's it. But what we did for the 3D was we'd have one camera aimed at your actor, and then there was another camera that was angled at 90 degrees, and it shot into a mirror that was at 45 degrees, a plate down here, and then it was all set a couple millimeters, whatever it was, to create that 3D effect. So you can imagine the amount of information in one shot with two they're called red cameras, 2 red cameras at 4K. Yeah, it's a lot of ones and zeros, and that's kind of what created, I think the tech position's called the DAT guy. Is it DAT? DAT?
You guys working with that?
Yeah, so at that time it was just a mobile table that would, in a huge computer with a massive hard drive, you would download directly all the data off these cameras and make sure it was safe and back it up and all that good stuff. Because back in the day we just had, like Dawsons Creek, we just rolled on film, which to me was a really scary thing to do. It's like the least paid guy on set was the guy that ran the film from the camera to the camera truck and had to unload it from the canister in the back of the truck in complete blackness. Otherwise, the whole last hour of shooting is completely destroyed.
I actually have one of those film cams.
Yeah.
They're selling this stuff off. I have it up against my wall, so.
That's pretty cool.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, there's an axe throw in that
Yeah.
scene.
The pit? The pit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the life of me, I can't figure out how that was done.
Exactly how I did it. I mean, it was an extreme close-up of that. And I think they digitally put that windshield in there, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's exactly how they did it, with the 2 reds.
Now, what was your favorite kill in that movie?
Probably the one that kills, help me out, pick through the top of the head. I can't remember his name. really great guy, older gentleman. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was. That's my favorite kill. I mean, can you imagine going through the top of your skull with that?
Well, as long as we're doing that, what's your favorite kill in Final Destination?
It would have to be the jackass at the end of the movie that got hit by the sign. You know, here's another good story with Final Destination. That ending is not the original ending. I don't know if they have the original ending on some of these DVDs, but yeah, the movie tested really well except for the end, and the big thing was we want to see Carter die. So 6 months later, we came back to Canada and we reshot the ending and did that whole, France scene, and the bus drives by and the sign comes down, and last frame of the film, I get the axe.
Nice. That's actually my favorite too. The bus startled me the first. The first one we just wiped away. It's not too coming.
That was, I'll tell you that story too, because that was really fun. So the way we did that, we had a camera, we roped it off, it was completely stationary. We did 3 shots. This is when Amanda Detmer gets hit by the bus. So 1 shot, bus drives by, no Amanda. 2nd shot, just Amanda. 3rd shot, bus drives by, hits a very lifelike dummy of Amanda. And then right there on the spot, they put the film into the truck, and they edited right all 3, spliced them all together. And it was amazing. We were watching it 15 minutes later, and it was actually amazing. I think that it turned out great.
It was so disturbing because you had no warning whatsoever.
No warning. None. And then on the opposite side of that, you've got myself, and I think it was Sean and maybe Devin were standing there watching this happen. And we've got, crew guys with paintbrushes and buckets, and they're just flicking blood up into our faces. That's how we did it.
There's something with the blood on you guys in that scene too, where it denotes who was going to get hit next, I thought.
Oh, see, that's one of those things I'm not even aware of.
So I'm just go deep down the interwebs and see what I can find. I gotta go deeper now. Oh my God. Now, with all that, because it all starts with the plane. You are a certified pilot, right?
I am, yeah.
Why?
Because it's fun.
What are you flying?
Cessnas, it's little guys.
Little guys, so you own your own or you rent them out?
Single profit. I don't fly. I haven't flown that much anymore just because it's just gotten so ridiculously overpriced with fuel. But yeah, I'm planning on getting my own at some point.
Nice. Now, it's a hobbyist license where you 40 hours in the air or something like that. I think an actual license you need 1,000 hours.
No, it's a private pilot's license. It's somewhere in the middle. They have what's called a sport pilot license where it's a little less intense. So this allows me to fly any single engine land aircraft.
Now, would you play John Denver in it just to tempt fate?
No, not a chance. I wouldn't play John Denver. I wouldn't put a tray table in it so that the little latch could break. I wouldn't do any of that.
Did that movie change how you looked at things? Because I know it did for me.
Here's how it changed. Every time I'm on an airplane and I'm scrolling through the movies that they have available, for some reason, every time my brain goes, Final Destination's not going to be in here. You'll never see it on an airplane, ever.
Oh, you got a question right over here?
I have a weird one. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, because the other ones have been really normal.
Right? So big Gilmore Girls fan, so of course I watched The Resident, and I know you did this short stint as Jacob. I don't watch a lot of doctor shows, but I seem like a lot of them just go off the cuff, but that one, it seems like you guys really put in the work and studied and make sense on that show. Do they really make them go through a lot?
Yeah, I mean ironically enough, the unit production manager on that show is the same one we had on Dawsons Creek. That actually may have been why I got the role, I don't know, but David Hartley. So yeah, they really do their job. I mean, those actors are very professional. I really, really enjoyed working with Bruce. I'm a huge fan because I'm a big Trekkie, so I'm a huge fan of his. So that for me, that was really a fun time.
His art was just amazing.
Yeah. I hate coming in. Once again, I'm the bad guy. I'm taking away the hospital. I don't know what happened after I left the show, but still in the air. So the hospital must be there.
Now you mentioned being a Trekkie. Who's your favorite captain? I know it's not hard, but it's good.
I got to go with Jean-Luc.
Yeah. All right. And a second, have you watched Brave New World with Pike?
No. I have not. I know I haven't seen it yet. I'm still on the Discovery a little bit. I'm a little behind. I just picked up Paramount Plus, so I'm a little behind here. Well, yeah, I'm excited. In fact, I'm going to start next week, I think.
Okay, so anybody have any more questions? All right, Trump, I'm going to wrap it up. I want to thank Kerr Smith for coming out and answering all our weird questions. Go to your table and autograph you or a picture or whatever. Ask the questions you were too afraid to ask today. All right?
Thanks for coming out, guys. Appreciate it. Nice meeting everybody.
Thanks.
Be quiet now. You never quiet. You're never quiet.
We'll take your mic for you.